Silas knew he couldn't wait 27 days for Gus to reappear. The Ethelred group was likely already mobilizing a team to retrieve their asset, Nolan, or eliminate the liability, Silas. He waited until his midnight to 4 watch, when the rest of the crew, Captain Hollis, Mac, and Barb, were asleep or confined to their separate posts. He left the wheelhouse and moved quickly to the most secure place on the tug, the engine room. Engineer Mac was on watch, but Mac was deafened by decades of engine noise and loyal only to his machinery. Silas spoke directly into Mac's good ear, lying easily. Need to check the port exhaust valve pressure sensor. Need 5 minutes of pure quiet. Mac just nodded, focusing back on his gauges. Silas pulled his emergency satellite phone, a device kept separate from the one he used with Gus, from a waterproof compartment behind the exhaust manifold. He used a one-time, highly encrypted line to contact Gus's known emergency frequency. Gus answered instantly, his voice a low, static hiss. "You're burning the line, Si. This better be life or death." "It's the latter. The tug's been compromised. The spy's name is Nolan, and the organization is the Ethelred Group." A silence stretched for several agonizing seconds, not of bad signal, but of shock. "Ethelred," Gus finally breathed. "You didn't take a job, Si. You stepped into a meat grinder. They're not a client, they're a global security behemoth. They staff armies, overthrow governments, and they never, ever leave an asset behind. They won't just kill you. They'll sink the ironclad and make it look like a boiler explosion." Gus's voice turned urgent. "They want you, Si. They want your discipline and your operational silence. They're going to try to retrieve Nolan and flip you. Expect a covert extraction attempt within the next week, likely Maritime-based. They'll use their own assets to create a plausible disaster near your position." "I understand," Silas said, disconnecting immediately. He smashed the phone with the heel of his boot and tossed the pieces into the active engine oil bilge. He had the name and the warning. Silas didn't have weapons, but he had the ironclad. He now had 27 days to turn his sanctuary into a deadly kinetic trap. The crew were mostly honest men, so he had to modify the vessel in ways only he, the mate, understood. The mooring line trap. The main deck was cluttered with heavy mooring lines, thick as a man's arm. He secretly laced several key lines with thin, high-tensile stainless steel wire, stolen from Mac's engineering stores near their anchor points. If an intruder tried to cut a line during an infiltration, the steel core would either stop the blade or, worse, leave a razor-sharp exposed cutting edge, a silent deterrent in the dark. Hydraulic ambush. He reversed the minor hydraulic pressure imbalance he'd introduced. Now the system was slightly overpressurized. He ran a nearly invisible, a thin pilot line from the high-pressure side of the winch's hydraulic pump through the steering column and discreetly terminated it near the wheelhouse. If an attacker breached the wheelhouse, a quick, forceful yank on the pilot line would instantly blow a high-pressure hydraulic hose in the engine room, spraying scalding oil and creating a chaos alarm that would force the crew to surface. Engine room snare. He replaced several non-load-bearing inspection hatches in the darkest corner of the engine room with slightly unsecured duplicates. The slightest misstep by an intruder in the dark would result in a 10-foot fall into the cramped, dangerous machinery below. Silas returned to Nolan's prison in the aft bunkhouse. The spy was reading a tattered paperback, his ankle still cuffed to the steel stanchion. "The Ethelred Group," Silas said, dropping a cup of lukewarm coffee beside him. "You were right, they're coming. They don't just want to evaluate me, Nolan. They want to own me." Nolan didn't look up. "They'll come in hard. They won't use a tug. They'll use a fast attack RIB or a submarine tender. They'll try to breach the hull below the waterline during a chaotic event." "I figured," Silas replied, looking at the spy not with anger, but with professional interest. "You know their standard operating procedures. We have 27 days, Nolan. We are going to spend every minute of it preparing for their extraction attempt. You'll keep your life and I'll keep my freedom. If you lie to me, I'll put you over the side myself." Silas walked out, locking the door. The ironclad was sailing into an ambush, but the mate was ready. The double life had officially merged into a single, high-stakes fight for survival.